everybody. I haven't been on live for a while, so I've just had the impulse to get out there and have a bit of a chat today. There's so much that we know is going on at the moment in the world and the globe, and I wrote a little bit yesterday if you read the page, and if you hadn't, you probably heard the news, and if you watch it. Even though I don't watch it, I know it's in the background with my family at times, so I feel, I still need to hear these things at times because there's reasons for me coming out to speak and just to shed some light that I feel I may have to assist whoever's willing to understand and to move forward. At the moment, we're in amazing times, and it's not all pleasant out there for many people. There's a lot that's being stirred up in you in varying ways and means at the moment, and that's how it's meant to be, and that's how it's going to be. So we sort of kind of have to get our heads and our hearts around this from here on in. I've said to many over some time, the hobby aspect of the spiritual path, or the nice thoughts of, doing some positive thinking and some mindfulness, that's great. But there is a much bigger picture in play now, and I really feel and see many of us and are starting to actually witness that and understand that on a deeper level, and are surrendering to that. And there are still many who are fighting the process and in denial and allowing ego to block them, limit them, and keep them where ego wants them, the lower ego, that is. And that's all good. It's all fine. There's no comparisons, no better than, less than. But what I want to kind of speak on today is predominantly about fear. Fear is the essence of where we all have come, what we've come to understand, what we've come to master, what we've come to transmute and transform within ourselves. There is no buts about this, okay? So while many of us don't understand that we have fear, that we are fear, and I've only had friends and people I know who may not be doing the spiritual path but are highly evolved in their own way, still don't recognise fear or don't recognise their ego that may be out of balance, and that's okay. But the bigger picture that's taking place for all of us is simply that we are being given opportunities in every moment of every day now to recognise the levels of fear that we hold, the old patterns of fear that we're still aligned to, and how fear permeates and is permeating and undermining, sabotaging, and creating unconsciously, subconsciously with us in every way. Whether we like it or not, I'm going to maybe sound a little bit, I don't want to sound harsh or hard, but maybe it's a discipline that's coming through me at the moment, and it's always been there, and I guess I've tried to balance that within myself also. But I know from a deeper level there comes points in times where the masculine within us and the God-given side of that masculine, of our true strength and our warriorship in balance, needs to come forward to amp things up and step things up a bit. And I guess that's kind of the feeling that I'm having come through myself at the moment, certainly in my world, and to offer to those who are willing to hear that truth. And the masculine in us is not a bad thing. It's needed at times, where we need to have that courage and that strength to make change and to stand up to lower aspects of ourselves, to energies around us that aren't okay any longer, situations that aren't okay, where we actually need that energy within us to take action to make the change. And that's the masculine within us, guided by the feminine, that gives us that feeling, that intuition and that knowing that, this just doesn't resonate anymore, this isn't okay, and something's not right, that we are feeling within us. Now, everyone's going to feel things differently, and that's fine too. But in this God-given moment, so to speak, we've come as souls, and we must keep coming back to the points of call that we know. We are soul first, we are physical second. We are just shells in our physical body as we walk around this earth plane, simply for the game of understanding ourselves better. Expanding our soul consciously, our knowing consciously, to elevate and accelerate the evolution of our heart and our high heart, and into the remembrance of all that we truly are, which is a multidimensional being of light, not physical. Okay, So many of us are pushing through that. Some of us are just waking up to that. Some of us are not waking up at all, which is okay. And we're anywhere in between all of the above. So what does it all mean? Well, as I've always said, that higher aspect and high energy aspect of ourself is always coming from the elevation or the vantage point of the eagle. As the eagle flies closest to the sun, it has this huge ability to be able to see exactly what's going on below it. And so does our higher self. Now, we're at a point in time where if we choose, we can truly connect to now our higher self. The gates are open, the doors are open, the light is pouring in. Now, we are under amazing astrological and energetic times, unprecedented. We've not seen light like this ever before. And we haven't even walked these photonic pathways before. We're actually in a space where we have the opportunity now to create everything we want from the highest aspect of source. We've never been here before, so it's very new and it's very disconcerting and it feels very vulnerable at times, because even for many of us that have walked a spiritual path for many, 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 many years, we're in waters and territories now where what we were doing before even a year ago isn't quite working, and what we've known isn't quite the same, and we're being pushed and challenged to step up and find new ways and even greater ways, changing our ways to discover the pathways of light that we know, but we haven't accessed for thousands and thousands of years. It's all on tap and on offer, and it's up to each one of us how we want to utilise that. But to get to that, we have to remember we can't take the old energies with us. We can't drag the weights and the shadow of our old former selves and many lifetimes where we've played in the darkness and we've gone down and devolved our ego into lower energetic density spheres. We now have to transform and transmute all that within us to be able to access these incredible crystalline pathways and spheres of light that are right now present and waiting. So we're in the process of doing that. To do that, if we're not consciously working at ourselves, self-review, and it doesn't mean you're constantly at yourself delving, diving, finding past lives. That's not what it's about. It's simply the intention always to be willing. If you have the intention to say, you know what, I'm ready to change, I'm willing to look at what I need to shift, to literally just transform into finding these greater vibrations within me, then they'll come to you. Because if your intention's clear and it's coming from your heart always, everything arrives now, without question. It is there. What blocks it though, and what we have to start understanding, is that we are in charge of the blockade. We are creating the sabotage, the undermining. No one else, nothing else has power over us but us. So what is it that continues to block our way if it's not flowing, if we're still having our issues, our crises that keep appearing even more so now, and they will? It's fear. It's the lower aspects of your energy and your thoughts that continue to play out within your being. So what we're actually seeing now is on many scales. You'll see it personally, you'll see it familial, you'll see it country-wise, you'll see it globally. America's a great example of what's going on here right now. Now, while we've had the Las Vegas massacre, yes, horrible, absolutely, of course, as the higher vantage point of being spiritual and understanding the keys and the truth of energy and the truth of all that is, we have to remember firstly, there are no accidents. There are absolutely no random accidents. Just like 9/11. Every soul, however and whatever they choose to be involved in, wherever that be, however that presents, every soul at the highest level has chosen that moment in time. Absolutely. Be that positive or negative. And I know that's hard to get your head around and your heart around, but it's true. And as you do, it makes it easy to understand the greater vantage point. So every soul has its time when it's leaving here. You do, I do. How they choose to go is entirely up to them. And many, as I've said to many of my clients, to the workshops that I've run, we will be seeing more and more mass numbers going, more groupings of numbers and souls going. Now, this isn't going to change in America either. Okay, now we've seen the numbers changing with these guns. Yes, there needs to be change, we know that. But at the bigger, higher level, if you can walk with me on this one, the guns are a huge issue for America. They claim it as their right, their absolute sovereign right to bear and hold arms. But why do they need to do this? Why does anybody ever need to hold a gun? Why does anybody ever need to own a gun? But basically, their aim is from fear. Fear is undermining this whole process. They are in a moment of time where they have created the opportunity to witness their fear, to raise not only the fear of the events and to witness that, how they feel, but on the deepest, highest level, they are raising the moment of grand opportunity for that country and for the globe, but particularly for the America, to actually see why they have the need to hold a gun, and it's fear. Fear keeps them in separation and division. Guns are only ever used to hurt, to aim, to protect from fear. They're used never from a heart space. They're never used with love. So this is one major, huge fear moment in time that everyone is having the opportunity to look at. Anything we ever need to protect ourselves with, we have to look at that's coming from fear. Now, the whole purpose now, since 2012, and actually since the 11/11/11, the codes of light were switched, which supported the game of fear. From that moment on, anything that was fear-based has been raised to the surface. However that fear presents, be it in this moment, be it through illnesses, cancers, which are all on the rise, mental health issues, all lower-based energy conditions are coming up to the front big time. Numbers are raising astronomically. Why? Because we all have to witness the fear. We all have to realise where our thoughts, our traits, our patterns, our actions engage in such fear-based issues. As I wrote yesterday, when you align to it, when you fear with it, and that's okay if you do. Okay, I'm not judging. This is not a judgment. This is an alert discernment time. That the minute you can actually recognise that you are engaging in fear, this is the key to pull out. Because as I wrote, you have the ability to change, you have the ability to create, to remove your energies anytime you choose. The moment you do, you withdraw a frequency, you withdraw a momentum of energy from the creation. So if it's something that's on the way being built, remove it. If it's something that's there that you're adding to, remove it. This is the walk of the spiritual being, is to stand in your power and realise your responsibility. We have to do it. There's no other way around it. Now, fear isn't the enemy that many people give, and there's many people that fear their fear, and I was one of those years ago, and I realised this thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm actually adding fear to my fear. So we have to recognise what that is, and simply the fear is just a thought. Fear is simply a thought that is yours. And unless you take ownership and responsibility for it, it remains active. Energy remains active constantly. Your energy constantly hits targets. It's there. If you project it and intend it, it reaches the target always. But you can change that. You can remove it. You can alter it. You can call it back. You can transmute it. You can violet flame it. Again, it's about your intention, not to engage at that level. So here is this grand opportunity, as I wrote yesterday, in recognising why I felt the way I did, was as that wise being, as that awake, responsible individual of spirituality and of spirit, then how can I be of service? How can I assist the change? Again, your intention is everything. Shift the energy as best you can to the power of love. Sending the violet, which is not only the transformational tool, but has the great dose of love within it to make that colour violet. Send love direct. Swamp the country. Send it to every living man, woman, child on the planet, to wherever you feel resonate that you need to work. Do it. Again, your energy reaches the target. And as I wrote again yesterday, it was just such Such joy to see how many souls and beings of light are doing that one thing to assist, to literally balance out the lower frequency. That's how we do it. The antidote to fear is love, absolutely. The higher the vibration, it raises every lower vibration unto it. So this happens in your world also, personally, however that is. But at this point too, I also want to say that I've read a lot on Facebook and in places of highly evolved spiritual beings and of, anybody, doesn't matter. But, love, love, love is the way. Give love, send love, be love, do love. Yep, get that absolutely. But can I also just alert you to the point that while many of us say that and we do it and we think it, if there's any doubt whatsoever, any tiny aspect of your being that can't do that, and it's wordy and it's heady, but it's not meant, if there's many people that can say they're in love, but they're actually not coming from that true space of love, and love is just that truth of knowing, that's it, it's done, I can now leave it. Anything that still has any doubt with you within it, you've absolutely negated any point or intention that you sent out from love. It doesn't help. And this is where we have this great energy of sending lots of love, but unless we're addressing and recognizing and take responsibility for any of our fear within us, we are actually cancelling out the love that we think we're sending. So this is a really important fact I would love to just get across today. Love is the answer. What was the question? I wrote that yesterday. But, love is absolutely the answer, but we must discern our energies. Because if we're saying something but we're not truly engaged and meaning it, and we haven't got that belief of critical mass behind it, we aren't effective. We're talking our way through. And the truth is, many talk the walk without walking the talk. It's time to really engage that masculine, as I said earlier, that true divine warrior in harmony, in balance, that can step up and dare to challenge the self and say, hang on a minute, that's okay, but you're not actually meaning what you're saying. Just tweak it a little. Redress how you speak. Confront your fear. Realize that you created the thought of fear. Again, no one tells you what to do. No one makes your choice for you. You make your choice. In all ways, you can excuse and blame and look outward again, but the reality is it is each one of us. As we just simply acknowledge our fear, that's all we need to do. We acknowledge how we're saying something or we're not saying something, or what we think we're meaning, what we feel deep within us. Just own the feeling. This is where we have to start. Not go heady, look, talk. No more talking. I'm saying this to so many people of late. No more talking. No more words. Words come from the ego. This is how the lower ego keeps insidiously creeping in. Feel. Feel your way. Trust how you feel. And if it's that feeling that you have for you, simply own it and embrace it. Acknowledge it. Because the minute you do, it loses power with you. It's when your head is unruly and unmastered that you give your power continually away to that feeling that is of fear, and the mind and the thoughts that are getting louder and bigger and crazier. This is where you're losing your power. The minute you take charge of the thoughts and go, stop, no, pull it back, rein it in, take the breath and heart center again. Breathe your way back to center. You'll see how everything calms within you and around you. You are your world. Your thoughts are your world. So if from today, just seeing what's around you, how you are feeling, keep checking in with how you are feeling through the day. Just own the feeling. Adjust as necessary. Just love. Even talk to your fear. I've had to do this and just say, fear, you're mine. I'm owning you now. You don't run my show anymore. I used to run my show for years. You have no idea how I was a fearful person. The most fearful on the planet, the most negative on this planet for a long time. This has been my journey. Trust me, I do understand this. But it's incredible again how we forget, or we just don't realise where it just creeps into our world. But the more we give it power, the more we're going to see situations where they're not too pleasant. They'll be very uncomfortable. So the light's coming in, and as the light keeps coming in, and none of us are exempt, we're all receiving this light because we are part of the great electromagnetic crystalline grids now. So everything we receive, the higher the frequency, is literally pushing up this energy, this old frequency, to the surface. It's not that there's evil happening in the world. The mirror of reflection is that we hold the vibrations of these lower, not so pleasant shadow energies. And those of us that still hold them in great velocity, or great frequencies, are being pushed more and more. As we work with it, we're not having the velocity, we're not having the uncomfortable moments, because we're choosing to take on our power and to transmute them and transform them. And as I said, simply that ownership, that acknowledgement, you're doing that straight away, effortlessly. And it is easy now. It's much easier than when I first started this, and many of us back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, that, as you choose to accept, it's done. It's done so much faster now. Everything's faster and the frequencies are flying. So it's about us getting to the game, getting into the game now to shift it. Not thinking that we can't, we can. And that's using our divine masculine again. We can. That's using the positive energies of the solar plexus, kicking in our soul of our sun, bringing in the sun. We're coming into great times. So how we use it, how we choose to do it, will be a great reflection on where we are energetically. If we're doing the work, if we're moving through, and it doesn't have to be hard work, we can do this easily, it just takes your willingness and intention. You'll see it instantly in your world. You'll know it by the feeling of your heart when you feel peaceful and joy and happiness come back. There's no greater guide and there's no greater teacher than the heart. That's love, Love is a force of power, let's use it. It's literally, if you can find peace and joy in your world, you're in the space of love. Give it freely, and as freely, as unconditionally as you can, to yourself first, because that's what you're here to do. And as you align that and rebalance yourself, then you're free to give it and let it flow through you to every man, woman and child on the planet, every creature, sentient being that's come to this earth to play the game with you. So with that, I'll move on. I hope it's given a bit of an idea, a bit of a helping hand. And please, if you have any questions, I'm here. If I can help in any way, I'm always willing. I'm here for sessions. If you're in the Coffs Harbour area, I'm travelling to the Gold Coast. I'll be there again on the weekend. I do go to Sydney, but there's Skype. There's a whole range, and I know my purpose is here to help others. I've walked and worked through these paths. I'm still going through. We're never stopping. It's an infinite evolution. But I'm certainly willing to be of any assistance I can, and it's only what I've done and whatever I've walked through is what I teach. I don't do it from textbooks I read, but obviously it's my personal truths and teachings. So I hope that gives some sort of insight. Watch fear for everywhere it is. It's lurking now. It's about division, separation. It comes in many ways, but these moments in time are mirrors. If you're irritated, if you're reacting, if you're angry, then you have something to learn through that moment. If you are the silent observer, where you see it and you witness it, but you're not reacting, then you have much work to do in light. So hang in there. Use your energy tools as best you can. They're vital now to be, in your energy space. Your energy's then, and you can feel what's not yours. And it helps maintain your centre during these tumultuous times. So know that all is okay. The greater picture is it's all okay. We're just creating the new pathways of how to get home again and remember everything we are. So have a great day. All my love, all my light, and I'll talk to you soon.